How's it going, guys? Welcome back, and I hope you're doing well. So today what we're going to do, we're going to go over why I think you should give Helm Break a shot. Before we do, some of you may know I do like to do unscripted content, so if it does get a little long-winded, I will leave the chapters down below for easy navigation. So with that out of the way, let's get into Helm Break. Helm Break is a Greatsword skill. It is a great skill for the Greatsword. As it states, gain the ability to charge, forward dodge attacks, and sprint attacks. So, two things there. To charge, forward dodge attacks, and sprint attacks. Somersault through the air to deliver a powerful downward slash. The next tier is Helm Break Onslaught. Gain the ability to quickly chain Helm Break into a potent blow. Now, I know that this kind of seems like one of the more straightforward skills, right? Straightforward, it's like, hey, look, okay, I get to charge a skill, awesome. But the thing is that this, in my opinion, is actually one of the best, like, general neutral moveset skills that you really have. And I do think that it's actually underutilized, just from the Greatsword content that I see currently out there. Now, real quick, I'm going to address just one quick thing as far as like skill points. If you have heavy pressure, which you should have as a Greatsword user all the time, this is a phenomenal skill. It's like, this really is like one of the really good skills, just like glues everything together. But this is about Helm Break, not heavy pressure, so I digress. So if you have heavy pressure, it increases the charge speed of attacks that follow a charged attack. Helm Break is a charged attack, right? Because you're charging the forward dodge attack and sprint attack. So if you're short on skill points, one quick thing I want to note is that if you don't take Helm Break Onslaught, you can still, if you have heavy pressure, quickly charge potent blows. But I do want to be very clear, you do want both tiers eventually, once you have the skill points to spare, if you want to allocate something else, because it does reduce the frames that much more. But real quick, I'm going to demonstrate to you with heavy pressure, without the second tier of Helm Break. So you can see, if I charge, see, so I still get the increased charge speed because I have heavy pressure, but the animations to get into the potent blow are just a little longer. So that compared with if I do have the second tier, it's a little bit faster, right? But just something to be aware of. So it's like, you know, if you don't want to prioritize the second tier because you want to put your skill points in other places, right? You want more stamina, spirit, whatever. Just know that heavy pressure can kind of substitute the second tier if you're short on those skill points. But ideally, you do want this because, again, we want to play a little faster. We want to shorten our frames as much as possible. That's going to allow you to do that. Now, getting into Helm Break and the utilization that I like to use. So Helm Break is really good, especially, so here's a couple things you can do with it. I know that a lot of Greatsword users out there, that I see anyway, start combat with a forward dash into combat cadence. In my opinion, that's one of the, like, you can do it, right? If you have the stamina to spare, it's like, okay, that's fine, cool. It's easy, flows, but it's really stamina inefficient. So if you're struggling with your stamina, especially early game, and you're wondering why, or you're struggling with your stamina, even into the later game, right? You don't really understand why. I think a lot of things I see about Greatsword users is they love that combo, right? Which, to be fair, it's smooth, right? It gets the job done. It allows you to get into other combos, right? It allows you to get into Savage Momentum, to use another spirit skill, to capitalize on your Overwhelm skill. But what I would argue is that Helm Break is much more efficient. And the reason why is because, a couple things. One, it's going to use less stamina. So it's going to use less stamina. Two, it still flows into combat cadence. And then three, it actually gives you more options available to you to branch into other attacks. So what I mean by that is, so first we'll go over the stamina. So the forward dash into combat cadence and Savage Momentum very common combo, uses a lot of stamina. But you will use less stamina if you do a sprinting charge attack, right, or a standing sprint, right, because we can sprint and immediately go into Helm Break, which is going to use less stamina, or it'll still use less stamina if you continue to dodge, right? So if you dodge into Helm Break into Savage Momentum, it will still use less stamina than if you were to do a dodge attack into Savage Momentum, which is kind of cool in my opinion, right? So it's you're encouraged to still use a charge attack rather than just the normal. So it's the first thing. If you like to engage combat that way, that's fine. But if you want to use less stamina, I would recommend you do the standing sprint Helm Break, right? Or you can still resume dodging if you'd like, but then you can just do Helm Break instead of your normal dodge. You can you can also do it backwards. So instead of the backwards dodge into combat cadence, Savage Momentum, you can do a backwards dodge and press forward on the stick to charge and do Helm Break. Right? So you can still get a neutral dodge if you prefer to dodge, then get that Helm Break in. Now, another way that I really like to use it personally is I love using it after Furious Swipe. So with the second tier Furious Swipe, it allows you to chain into a dodge attack. Now remember, with Helm Break, we have the ability to charge dodge attacks, right? So a very common thing that you see me use, and I don't use Helm Break that frequently, but when I do like to use it after Furious Swipe, because Furious Swipe goes into combat cadence, right? But you can also charge that. So if you use Furious Swipe, you can go into Helm Break, which again, you're going to use less stamina overall, but also, damn, does it look good. So Furious Swipe into Helm Break, into combat cadence, very, very smooth. So that's mainly the dodge attack portion of it, right? But why I like using Helm Break as well, and what I was saying earlier, is that it helps you chain into other skills. So remember, with heavy pressure, Helm Break is a charged attack. So after Helm Break, you can go into, as we said earlier, you can go to a potent blow, or, again, because it's a charged attack, you can go into another charged attack, a charged spirit skill, and you're going to gain that heavy pressure bonus, right? Helm Break into Titanic Descent, Helm Break into Phantom Knight's Veil, Helm Break, right? So you have these options to give you increased charge speed after Helm Break that you normally wouldn't get if you're sticking to kind of the standard like forward dash combat cadence, right? Now to be clear though also, right, because again, if you're ending your combat cadence with Savage Momentum, you're like, okay, well that's going to be better off because I'm going to get the Overwhelm bonus, which is going to give me charge speed anyway. Yes, that is true. But again, my point of making this video is, excuse me, to get you to understand that there's more options available to you in combat, right? So you don't have to keep doing the same thing. Okay, now I get this Savage Momentum, now another charge, right? So you can do your charge attacks more than you might think, right? So again, a big combo that I like. Again, so once you get that Helm Break, that is a charge attack. So you can chain another charge attack after that, whether it be a charge potent blow, whether it be a charge spirit skill, anything like that. Another big one is I really like to, again, because you have those options available to you, another big one is Helm Break into Furious Swipe into another Helm Break. Personally, I like that one a lot because the frames, once you're done with Helm Break, are pretty generous. The other thing that I like about after you Helm Break, again, when you have the second tier, it's better to do this than without. But again, sorry, I'm English today. But again, because you have the second tier and you get into that potent blow very fast, you can start your Helm Break and then you can prepare for a Ghost Arm block, right? So in my opinion, this is just more versatile as well than if you were sticking to the standard, like, you know, dodge attack. Because then if you do that, you're having to rely more on Counter-Strike Shift to negate damage, which kind of, I think, in my opinion, limits your it kind of limits your defensive capabilities. But again, if you play that way and you play that way consistently, you really shouldn't run into too much of an issue. But I think sprinkling in some Helm Break is definitely going to go a long way. And also, you got to think throughout the fight, if you're using Helm Break more and sprinkling it in, you're going to save more stamina than if you were constantly doing a dodge attack into combat cadence, right? So just a quick recap, guys. So Helm Break, really good. Helm Break gives you a little bit more versatility for your greatsword attacks. It counts as a charged attack, right? So that can help you capitalize on your heavy pressure bonus, and it's going to use less stamina overall because it's going to chain into combat cadence. It's going to use less stamina overall than the kind of the commonly used dodge forward combat cadence. It's going to use less stamina if you were to Helm Break into combat cadence, or if you were to Furious Swipe into Helm Break combat cadence, than the kind of the standard, I would say, right? Just dodge forward into combat cadence. Other than that, the Helm Break into Potent Blow is very good for me. I love it because again, it sets you up for Ghost Arm block. Or if you just want to do a Potent Blows do a lot of damage, right? And also, it's classified as a Potent Blow, right? So if you have a lot of Potent Blow damage on your gear set, on your sword, if you're kind of focused on it, that's going to give you more damage overall than just your forward dash attack, because that would just be a swift attack, right? And combat cadence is also a swift attack. Other than that, last thing for the recap, also Helm Break, after Helm Break, again, not only can you go into a Potent Blow, but again, you can use your spirit skills to capitalize on heavy pressure, which is really, really nice. I think Helm Break is pretty versatile. Yeah. Oh, actually, one last thing, because I kind of forget sometimes for skills to mention this, but one thing I really like about Helm Break is that I personally think it is the best initiator as far as mobbing goes, right? I think it makes quality of life for just mobbing, going through maps, really, really easy. It's very chill, right? If you're going through a map and you see some enemies, really just a Helm Break into combat cadence, savage momentum, mortal blow. Super, super user-friendly, really easy to just stagger like really small enemies and just kind of go through the game with ease. It's a wonderful skill. A big fan, big fan. Yeah. So honestly, guys, that's all I got for Helm Break. Helm Break is a great skill. It's a simple skill, but it really is almost like a power strip, right? It's almost like an outlet that it gives you a lot of pathways to branch from Helm Break. It's pretty stamina efficient, right? But again, I think that it is a better alternative than the kind of a standard or commonly used, let's say, forward dash attack into combat cadence, into savage momentum. I think it's a great thing to sprinkle in your combat, especially after Furious Swipe. Really, really good skill and fun skill, I would argue. So guys, that is all I got for Helm Break. Yeah, last thing, guys, if you enjoyed the video or if you learned something, please do me a solid. Please consider subscribing. We're almost to our 1 million goal. It's a phenomenal thing. You definitely want to be part of the first 1 million club. It's a very special thing for the channel. So we're almost there. Please consider that. Other than that, that's all I got for you. I hope you guys enjoy the fights. I really do. It's always fun using some Greatsword. And yeah, I will see you in the next one.
the strength